In this video, I will remind you how optimization problems are solved with constraint programming, and then we will introduce one very efficient but easy technique to speed up the discovery of good solution in optimization problems using constraint programming with large neighborhood search. So if you remember, CSP or constraint satisfaction problem was defined by variables, the domains, and the constraints. In a constraint optimization problem, we also have an objective function that we want to minimize. And the goal in an optimization problem, or we want to maximize, is to discover the best possible feasible solution among all the set of solutions. Okay, and we want to discover this best solution that we call sigma star. Okay, this is the one that minimizes the objective functions. And the objective function is a formula, for instance, the sum over a subset of the variables in your problems. The question is, how do we do this in constraint programming? The first step is to discover one feasible solution. And conceptually, what the constraint programming solver will do is that it will enforce the new constraint that the next solution found is strictly better than the previous one. And you continue optimizing like that. You can restart or not restart. And at the end, you've got the best possible feasible solution for your problem. Okay? So let's consider one example. So this is one example where we can visualize all the solutions that will be discovered during the depth first search. And so since it's a depth first search, the direction of the search will be like this. Okay. So we discover this one. The objective function is this one. Okay. Then we discover this one. You see that it's a little bit improving. Then it will be this one. We continue the search with this one. And every time we infer that the next one is strictly better. And at the end, we prove that the last one that has been discovered, you see that these are the objective values, the last one that has been discovered is the optimal one. And so we still need to explore the search tree at the end because we never know if we could discover an improving one. So we never know until the end, until we have completely finished the search tree. And so what you visit here is just to prove that there are no better solution than the last one, which was 430 in this case. So to solve this optimization problem in CP, you would, let's assume that the objective function is a sum of a given weighted distance, like for the quadratic assignment problem. So you create the objective variable here. So this is an invar. Then you say CP minimize to say that you want to minimize. This is what you would do in mini CP. Then you do the depth first search, and then you can print. Every time you've got a solution, you will see the objective cost. You can just print it by retrieving the minimum of the domain of the total cost. And so if you do that, every time a new feasible solution is found, it will be printed and you can visualize the objective value that is improving until the end. Okay? And once you do optimize, you will effectively start the search. In practice, how is it designed? What is the design behind this API? In practice, we introduce one interface in MiniCP, which is for the objective. And you see that it's not at all dependent on the fact that it's a constraint programming solver. An objective has just one method which is Titan. Okay? But it's not at all related to constraint programming elements. Constraint programming, elements. Then we've got the minimize to implement the objective here. We've got the minimize, and this one is a minimize objective specific to constraint programming. What you can see here is that it's the upper bound, which is the upper bound of the objective, and this is the variable that you want to minimize that you give in the constructor. And once you do a Titan, you update the bound, and you say the bound should be the maximum -1. And every time the fixed point is called, and you see that there is a callback here, this is a callback that is executed. Every time the fixed point is called, you just remove everything that is above the current bound. And so once you do a Titan, you will make sure that you will always prune at every start of the fixed point algorithm. You will always prune what is beyond this bound that is fixed here, and that will be gradually tightened every time it needs to be tightened. So every time a new feasible solution is found. And so this is where the tightening is done, is inside the depth first search. Okay, this is inside the depth first search. Yes, this is here. So once you start the optimize method, we have here, we hook up a code that will be called every time a new feasible solution is found, and every time a solution is found, we tighten the objective. So this is exactly what I have shown before. And you see that the search is completely not at all impacted that it's doing a search for a feasibility problem or for an optimization problem. Okay, it just by using this mechanism here of own solution, where we hook up a piece of code that will be executed every time a new solution is found, we tighten the objective, and as an effect, this tighten will decrease the bound by 1 here, and so we will remove everything in the objective variable beyond this bound. And this is why the solution is improving every time a new feasible is found. So, optimization or minimization, in summary, is implemented as a regular depth-first search. We will enumerate all the solutions, but simply because we will tighten the objective every time a new solution is found, the solution is improved every time a new solution is found. And this is how the function bound is implemented inside constraint programming. One of the weaknesses of constraint programming is when the search tree is huge, we have a poor exploration of the search space. In practice, we will dive quickly to the left because we will stick to the heuristic, and we will have little chance to visit other parts of the search tree. So for instance, after 1 hour or 2 hours, we may have the time to only visit this part, and we will never have the chance to visit this one. Okay, so it means that we are very unhappy. We would like to visit a little bit this search space, but we never do it with a standard depth-first search. And this is why, to fix this problem, most of the time when we want to discover a good solution quickly, because the best solution may be here, you never know. And to fix this problem, we will adopt a kind of local search framework, but on top of constraint programming. And this is what is called large neighborhood search. So the way we will do that is we will intensify a little bit the search at a given place, but not too long. As soon as we realize that we are searching for too long time at a given place, we will jump at another place of the search tree where it could look more promising. In practice, we will jump in the search tree like this by visiting a limited part of the search space. Of course, some regions may never be visited like this one, but in practice, the search will be more diversified. And also, if you're able to discover a good solution more quickly, we will also prune more the search tree, the sub-trees that you see here. So this is the idea of large neighborhood search, and large neighborhood search has 3 ingredients. First, there is the fixing part, there is the relaxation part, and there is the restart part. How does it work with this pseudocode? You find a first feasible initial solution, okay? And you will say that it's your candidate best solution. Of course, it can still improve afterward, but this is the candidate best solution, the best so far solution. And we will keep improving that one. And how do we improve it? By simply relaxing a little bit. So we will keep most of the structure of this solution, but we will relax it a little bit so that we can explore. So this is, if this is the best solution, we will say, okay, I'm ready to explore a little bit around, a little bit of changes around this solution. And to explore the neighborhoods around this solution, we will use constraint programming. And so to do that, we will relax a little domains of some of the variables, not all of them, only a tiny fraction of the variables will be relaxed, and we will explore with CP the possibility of improving this solution locally. And if we discover a new best solution, of course, we replace it before the next iteration. So that's the idea of large neighborhood search, and in practice, it's a very efficient idea for solving practical problems. The advantage over pure local search is that the neighborhood that we will explore is very large. You don't have to use meta-heuristics like taboo search to avoid local minima, because there are many ways to escape local minima. The other advantage is that you don't need to design a very complex neighborhood. Okay, like for the traveling salesman problem, you know that there are very complex neighborhoods, or the Lin-Kernighan moves, okay? You don't have to do that. You can rely on constraint programming to explore the neighborhood for you, okay? So you don't have to implement or hard code a specific neighborhood for your problem. You can rely on the modeling and on the CP solver to explore the neighborhood. And it's also very scalable because it has a good anytime behavior. So what we mean by anytime is that for many problems, you have a very limited budget of time to solve the problem. And so you would like to be able to discover good solutions within this time budget. Okay? And a good anytime behavior means that you have an approach that is able to find reasonably good. You don't need to prove that it's optimal, but you can find reasonably good solutions in a given budget of time. And LNS is one interesting approach when you need a good anytime behavior for your problem. In practice, how to solve a problem using LNS? Well, the number of changes that you need to do on your model over the standard CP model is not that much. So let's start with the model that we have already seen last week related to quadratic assignment problem, which was this one. So you know this was the quadratic assignment problem, and we have the decision variables, which was a vector x, which is for every facility in which you will place this facility. We had the all different, and then we have the weighted cost that will multiply the distance by the amount of traffic that you have between these two facilities. Okay, and we want to minimize the sum of this. And then you've got the depth of search. So how do we turn this model into an LNS? It's not too difficult. First, you need to find a first feasible solution. Okay, and we will store. So this will be our solution, right? I will call it X best. Okay, these are the best decision variables that we have found so far. Okay, and on every solution that you find, on every improving one, I will simply update my best solution here. Okay, I store it and I update it, and I will use the callback on solution to do that. And then this is my LNS loop. LNS loop. I will give it a number of restart budgets, okay, because I don't want to solve this problem forever. Let's say I want to solve it in a given number of iterations, which is fixed here to 1000. This is why I have this for loop. And then I will optimize subject to some constraint. And this constraint that I state inside the block optimize subject to, that you see here, they will be removed on the next restart. Okay, so they will only remain imposed in the model from for just one limited restart. And this is the interesting part. The interesting part, as I said, is that I wanted to explore around S a little bit of neighborhood around the current best solution. And to do that, I will fix randomly 70% of the variables. And so I will randomly, with a dice that I will throw, I will fix randomly a given number of variables to the value that they had in the current best solution S star. And this is what I'm doing here. So I'm posting an equality constraint to restrict 75% of the solution to remain fixed to the best solution that we have so far. The other 25% of the variables, they can change. Okay, the domain has been restored. And of course, because I need to search forever, I give it also a minimum number of failures. I fix the number of backtracks of one restart, which is given here to 100, the budget limit for one restart. And this way, I'm sure that I will not spend too much time in a given restart. And so we are restarting from one place to the next. Every time a new feasible solution is found that is improving, I replace it. Okay, and on every restart, I'll fix randomly a large fraction of the variables, and the other variables are relaxed. The domain of these other variables are relaxed to the initial domains that they had. So this is very efficient, and this is also what you would do inside a practical session. You will play a little bit with LNS for solving optimization problems.